Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm going to try and summarize what I wanted to tell you without referring to notes, because I only have 7 minutes and I think it's a reasonable challenge. I do want to show one video. I stand before you as a businessman in Africa, a father, somebody that serves on the board of 2 educational institutions, and I stand before you as a leader of an IT company. So it's logical that I would want to present to you on the impact of technology on education. I did want to start and say to you that technology is not the be-all and end-all. Certainly technology has its limits. Let me demonstrate that to you with this video.
Emma. Emma. Emma.
Technology doesn't change anything unless people who are determined and committed find out. So I wanted to, so I'll move away from my notes really to try and get this 7 minutes in. I wanted to talk to you about a position that I understand well, and it's a position of the trends we have seen in technology, how that has been applied to business. And what it talks about is how users were catered for in these technologies. It started out with large mainframes. For us old enough to remember that, there was this era of the large mainframe. And in that particular era, if people wanted to be accessed, only really large companies could afford it. And if you fast forward, what really gave us a ubiquitous access to computing was the PC, which later became, the client computing environment, which really became alive, if you will, as it embraced the internet. And now, of course, we're moving into the world of mobility and social media. And where I was going to take the argument was the following. My observation of businesses and how it's embraced this technology has been quite astounding. I was reading a Harvard Business Review 10 years ago that basically said it is quite astounding that if you look at businesses today versus a century ago, you will see quite a change in many, many industries. And I'll come back to what he said about the education industry in a second. But the point I want to get to is that we are beginning to see technology that touches every one of us. And the important point about this is that when you look at the technology that touches us, we suddenly become the generators of information, as you heard from Max earlier. We become the generators of information, big data, if you will, that starts to require us to behave like, as I say, good corporate citizens around the security and the governance with which we access things like the World Wide Web. And the point I wanted to make about this is, you didn't know about companies like Google and Facebook and the like maybe 10 years ago. But these things are in our face, no pun intended. The point about this is that if you look at what happened on the internet over the last minute that I was talking, you will notice that quite a bit of information has been generated while we've been sitting here. And the point about this is what we generate. This is not what businesses generate. And so you've seen, if you will, a democratization of how we access information and use that for our own personal good. And where I was taking this was, there are 2 types of things that happen in business. Particularly, the first one is about the efficiency of their systems, and they've embraced technology to help them with that, to be effective. You've seen that in banking, for example, with ATMs as we've had them, travel industries and the like. But the point is that they had to change. They've had to change to incorporate our insatiable need to access information in these large corporations and they've had to extend the IT information systems to include UNI. And this is what we call the yin and yang of business. They've had legacy business systems, and they've had to create next generation systems that is focused on the customer, customer-centric applications. I spoke to you about the Harvard Business Review. He went on to say, if you looked at a school 100 years ago and a school now, you'd probably find very little difference. That's what the Harvard Business Review said 10 years ago, not me. I think he was referring to the classroom. And I think he was talking at will, if you will, about the teaching methods and and what goes on in the classroom. So typically you would see long lines of children, pen and paper in the hand, you know, a teacher writing on a whiteboard, kids trying to scribble down what they hear, and et cetera, et cetera. And at the end of it, they try and repeat that in exams and hopefully pass. We still do some of that today. What we're challenging today is that schools, or certainly education, should adopt some of these social media and mobility technologies that businesses have adopted and have proven works in how they're yielding and bringing users from all over the world. You know, it's interesting. When you think about these new social technologies, and you said earlier, Professor, that kids know how to, they learn the computer a lot better than we do. But nobody taught us. I mean, every one of you, or some of you, okay, most of you would have a Facebook account. Who taught you Facebook? Who taught you how to Google? Who taught, I like that answer. Who taught you how to Twitter? Like some of you do now. Okay? The same has to happen in education, where perhaps the kids are left free to go and explore in the way that is natural to them. And so that was going to be the crux of where I was going to go to on my presentation. But I do suggest to you that there are very, very important things as to how we define the outcome of education. I think if we define the outcome of education, we will start to build the systems and the processes and the protocols that are required to make this happen. And thinking about the outcome is very important. I want to give you a story that I think is quite important in thinking about an outcome. It's an old story. It talks about a man that walks into a construction site and sees workers moving rocks in a wheelbarrow. He walks up to the first one and he says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Can't you see it? I'm pushing rock. I'm boarding stones." Not quite satisfied with that, he went to the second person and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, can't you see it? You know, I'm building a wall." Third, you know, still not happy, he went to the third guy and says, "Sir, what are you doing?" And he said, you know, wiping his brow, he said, "You know what, I'm building a castle." Three guys doing the same job with a different attitude and different perspective on what they were doing. Isn't this important about how we think about education? Let me give an example. If the role of education is to give education to all, provide education to all, that could be like boarding rocks. Because if there was a higher order that said education is about ensuring that students pass an exam and we can give them a certificate, and it is about how many we can get out there, that could be like boarding a rock, like building a wall. But I submit to you, if the outcome was something that says we want to prepare students to be productive in this new economy, this new world of business, isn't that about building a castle? And so how we think about education and the outcomes becomes very important. My company thinks about technology and its impact that it has on people. We have this is my second last slide, I'm almost done. We have a purpose that says we deliver technology solutions that enable people everywhere to grow and thrive and reach their full potential. This is our castle. Have a look at this.
It all began with an idea to make technology accessible and affordable to everyone. Because access to technology shouldn't be a privilege. Because technology is an essential requirement for human success. Because technology can change the world. 25 years ago, we imagined a world where technology worked seamlessly in service of people, enabling them to fulfill their dreams and do more of what they love. And everything we do today is in support of this dream. Our relentless drive to make technology simpler, to make it more efficient, and to make it work harder for people everywhere. Every person at Dell works in support of one unifying purpose, to deliver technology solutions that enable people everywhere to grow and thrive. It's because of this commitment that we can say, today we are helping thousands of children in rural China and around the world realize their dream of an education. Today, we provide the tools necessary so scientists can be steps closer to discovering solutions to the world's energy crisis. Today, women in Gauteng, South Africa have a chance for a long and healthy life due to early breast cancer detection. Today, our environmental commitment is helping ensure that children in Sri Lanka won't have to suffer the health and environmental effects of e-waste. Today, we are helping small businesses open their doors for the first time all over the world. Today, we are providing technology that is enabling human potential everywhere. Because when technology works better, works harder, in service of people, they thrive. Communities thrive. The world thrives. And so do you.
So let me conclude. We have helped many businesses transform themselves to take advantage of mobility, social media, and integrate that into their legacy systems. We are raising our hand to get involved in the transformation of education in Africa. We commit ourselves to that. We think it's very important to prepare African children to compete globally in a knowledge-based environment. We need to ensure that our children grow in a world where their talents are matched by the opportunities. Let us join hands, government, NGOs, business, and let's go make a difference and unleash the full potential of the children of Africa. Thank you very much.